To another Lionel Messi former teammate, Antoine Griezmann. It seemed like he was packing his bags, heading to MLS, join LAFC. Well, pump the brakes. Reports now say Griezmann is set to stay at Atletico Madrid, nearing a 2-year contract extension that would run through June 2027. There were speculations in the middle of this La Liga season that maybe his form was dwindling a little bit and he would look for that next step. So he was one step away. That's how it seemed to be for a while here, specifically to Los Angeles. How big of a loss could this be for MLS, Jack?
It's a blow, but I don't think it's irrecoverable from, in that Antoine Griezmann is still playing incredible football. Testament to signing a 2-year extension at a club like Atletico Madrid, one of the big clubs in Spanish and European football. And that's a deserved 2-year extension. Antoine Griezmann still really was playing that good football. It came as no real surprise to me to hear that Atletico Madrid extended his contract. And as Lionel Messi and others have shown, some of these players in today's game have been able to take care of themselves and continue to maintain a high level of performance well past their 35th birthday and on. And I feel the same for Antoine Griezmann. I think that his time in MLS is coming, it's just not yet. And while it would have been great to have Antoine Griezmann here in the US playing in Major League Soccer, the fact that he isn't coming, I don't think takes anything away from the league or their current position right now.
I just want to know what happened, because Antoine Griezmann's always maintained he wants to retire in Major League Soccer. We saw images of John Thorrington, the president of LAFC, in Paris during the Olympic Games, talking to Antoine Griezmann when Antoine Griezmann was off, enjoying himself. They obviously met, they had talks. All indications are he's set with LAFC. He's set with Major League Soccer. It's a question of when. And now, per these reports, he's not only signing an extension, but he's signing for less money.
Yeah.
And while I agree with Shaka, the Antoine Griezmann back to Atletico has been an utter success, and he will go down as probably their best player in the history of their team. The last 2 to 3 months have not been a success for Antoine Griezmann. He's actually being booed off the field at times, along with his teammates. He's not been at the bar that he set for himself. Yeah. So this dip in form all of a sudden has him re-signing and for less money. I need to know what happened. And while I don't know what happened, what I do know from this business is nothing is done until it's signed. And I've seen this game before where you throw out a little bait to see who nibbles. And part of me thinks it's maybe throw out the bait so Major League Soccer and LAFC nibble a bit more.
Leverage then.
Part of me feels this is where it's going. But another part of me thinks he's an all-time legend at Atletico Madrid. He just retired from the French national team. And this season, with Julian Alvarez, with Sorlot, with the rest of that crew, Simeone, those good players, they're close enough to, yes, be behind Barcelona, be behind Real Madrid, but still in the chase in La Liga. And bowed out, yes, in the semifinals of Copa del Rey, and yes, in the quarterfinals or round of 16, I should say, of the Champions League. But they're there, and maybe he sees what this team could be, and he says, hold on for a second. Let me just enjoy this for a bit more. Maybe I want to go out here. I'm torn here. I don't know which part of me I want to believe, but this doesn't just happen by chance. You don't just say things like that and then accept less money for an extension. Something just doesn't sit well.
The question that's brewing in my mind now is LAFC willing to wait those 2 years for Antoine Griezmann? If it is just 2 years, a lot of things can change.
Well, I don't. Oliver Giroud and Antoine Griezmann are very different players, but Oliver Giroud was never a dynamic player to begin with. So you could say, well, he's not as fast and we could still get by with it. Look what he did at Milan at an advanced stage. He was 35, 36 years old doing that at Milan. Antoine Griezmann is very much a dynamic player. He's very much a player that relies on his instincts, his quickness, what he could do in or around players in tight spaces with his speed. I don't think you wait for an Antoine Griezmann 2 years from now and still think you're going to get the same value for him.
I disagree. No, I
Really?
think I'd say wait. I think Antoine Griezmann's performances for Atletico Madrid over the next 12, 18 months dictates that. If Antoine Griezmann continues to play at a level he would expect of himself, I think they wait without question.
But even if he doesn't, I feel like they would.
And even if things don't go wonderfully well in the next 12 months, I just as easily walk away from the remainder of his Atletico Madrid contract. If the team is moving in that direct or moving away from Antoine Griezmann and his contributions. Similarly, he can walk away in 12 months' time. And I don't think his level drops to the point where he's no longer effective, he's no longer a draw in Major League Soccer.
What's in his best interest right now, Herc? Atletico Madrid, European football, or MLS?
It's such a difficult question because you're sitting here asking me to tell somebody who's won La Liga, who's won the World Cup, who's won Euros, who's one of the best players his club's ever produced, to assume, to get in his head that he feels he needs more. And I can't assume that's the case, but with any great player, they always need more. It's not they want more, they need more. And this is why when we were talking about Lionel Messi, I drew up a comparison in my head of, well, Michael Jordan. What necessity did he have going back to play with the Kansas City? They just need the game. They need the highest of levels. Antoine Griezmann is no different. He could say no to the National League because that's a different grind. It takes away from the day-to-day of your club. Maybe you lose something there. But if you want to play at the highest of levels and you're absolute god at Atletico, that's where you're going to stay. I think Major League Soccer waits. Maybe LAFC is interested in 2 years from now. I don't think money's an issue for Antoine Griezmann. So if money's not an issue there, LAFC is still going to be there.
I think quite similarly, it's a very personal decision.
Yeah.
And Antoine Griezmann will decide that, whether he goes to LAFC in 2 years' time, whether he just calls it a day, whether he goes back to France and plays football in France. That is a very personal decision that shouldn't. I'm reluctant to speculate on.
Yeah, or question.
Okay, I certainly
with
will
everything
not
that he's
question.
accomplished in his career.
And we were talking about players who've kind of walked away. Toni Kroos, 12 months ago.
Yeah.
Just died up. I've had enough, and that was it. And I'm sure has had absolutely no regrets. So it's always very difficult to try to draw comparisons or try to think about what players may be thinking, because these decisions really are very, very personal.
And when it comes to MLS too, now thinking on the business side of it, this would still be a very good name to have in the league.
It would, if you're just talking about names, but Major League Soccer has also been for years trying to shed this retirement league image, and they've been going down the road where they've been, importing younger players and selling players at a good age to European outlets at the biggest of stages, and maybe they want to be. And now we've even heard reports about the calendar aligning differently with the rest of the world, the FIFA calendar. And if you do that, you're a prime, player in the summer transfer window. That means incoming, outgoing transfers, and if you want to be a participant, well, they're younger players, not necessarily older players. So if that's the route you want to go of shedding that image, then maybe what you don't need is a 36-year-old, Antoine Griezmann coming at the end of his career.
Yeah. Whoops. Sorry for Antoine Griezmann, but at the end, it's great news for Atletico de Madrid to keep him around. And it's great news that we're going to see Atletico de Madrid this Saturday against Las Palmas, 3 p.m. Eastern. Coverage begins 2:30 p.m. on ESPN+.